Good morning from Dublin, and welcome to your Sunday service. I'm really glad that you're able to join us today. Now, let us begin with the reading of the Creed of the Church of Scientology. Before I start, I'd like to go over a word with you. That word is inalienable. Something that is inalienable is something that is yours, and it cannot be taken away from you or given away by you. It will always be yours. The Creed of the Church of Scientology. We of the Church believe that all men of whatever race, color, or creed were created with equal rights. That all men have inalienable rights to their own religious practices and their performance. That all men have inalienable rights to their own lives. That all men have inalienable rights to their sanity. That all men have inalienable rights to their own defense. That all men have inalienable rights to conceive, choose, assist, or support their own organizations, churches, and governments. That all men have inalienable rights to think freely, to talk freely, to write freely their own opinions, and to counter or utter or write upon the opinions of others. That all men have inalienable rights to the creation of their own kind. That the souls of men have the rights of men, that the study of the mind and the healing of mentally caused ills should not be alienated from religion or condoned in non-religious fields, and that no agency less than God has the power to suspend or set aside these rights, overtly or covertly. And we of the Church believe that man is basically good, that he is seeking to survive, that his survival depends upon himself and upon his fellows in his attainment of brotherhood with the universe. And we of the Church believe that the laws of God forbid man to destroy his own kind, to destroy the sanity of another, to destroy or enslave another's soul, to destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group. And we of the Church believe that the spirit can be saved, and that the spirit alone may save or heal the body. Now, these are the beliefs in which we stand firm on. Now, there's a lot of information that goes around on a daily basis. You have the news, you have coffee shops, conversations with friends, the radio, and also newspapers. But what happens when you see something that's not true? Because you know that it's not true. Well, let's have a look at what L. Ron Hubbard says about personal integrity. What is true for you is what you have observed yourself. And when you lose that, you have lost everything. What is personal integrity? Personal integrity is knowing what you know. What you know is what you know. And to have the courage to know and say what you have observed. And that is integrity, and there is no other integrity. Now, you can think of a time where someone may have said something that was not true, and you stood firm on what it is that you observed, and you spoke out against it. That was you sticking with your personal integrity. Now, you also may find times where you may have been silent or not spoke out against something that you saw or heard that was not true. It happened. Okay. Now you see what personal integrity is. Of course, we can talk about honor, truth, all these things, these esoteric terms. But I think they'd all be covered very well if what we really observed was what we observed. That we took care to observe what we're observing, and that we always observed to observe. So you keeping a state of mind of where you are actually causatively observing something. You know that you're observing it. You're making sure that you're not taking in any bias, any data from some other source. You're looking directly at that thing for what it is and not on some via from some other place. And not necessarily maintaining a skeptical attitude, a critical attitude, or an open mind, but certainly maintaining sufficient personal integrity and sufficient personal belief and confidence in self and courage that we can observe what we observe and say what we have observed. Nothing in Dianetics and Scientology is true for you unless you have observed it and it is true according to your observation. That is all. I would like to extend a welcome to you. And with that, I'd like to read the invitation to freedom. Man can save his soul. For countless ages, a goal of religion has been the salvage of the human soul. Man has tried by many practices to find the pathway to salvation. He has held the imperishable hope that someday, in some way, he would be free. Man has spoken of the second coming of Christ and of the judgment day. America has kept wide the doorway for this salvation by retaining religious freedom. And here, after these ages of grief and suffering, through terrible wars and catastrophe, the hope still lives. And with that hope, accomplishment. Man can save his soul, like the bright, cool dawn after a night of prison and of thunder. Man can taste that freedom sought so long. There are those who will say that only after a lifetime of sacrifice and good doing can the soul be free. That God demands conditions in the freedom, and that some have the power of making mankind slaves. But these things too have answers, and all we tell you now is that you can be free. Many can be free in a few days. The souls of some can be saved in hours. Those deeply stemmed in materialism can be salvaged in months or years. As Christ said, the innocent can first be saved. In a little time, in minutes, the child can be saved. But the rich and the mighty, the enslaver and destroyer, would lag behind for years, but they too can be saved. If the Christian in Rome had been given this news that his salvation was imminent, he would have believed and rejoiced. But this is not Rome, and Christ is 2,000 years crucified, a long time, a time to forget, a time to disbelieve. Today, perhaps a church or a man of God might spit upon Christ himself if he came to call. What you hear here is factually, literally true. The salvation hoped for these past 2,000 years is here. It has not come with the blares of trumpets or the flare and flash of flame. It has come quietly, and you aren't at all sure you should believe it. And the salvation itself is not done by sudden drama or a walk on a gleaming cloud. It is done quietly, in a chair as a part of a group of people like yourself. And you don't have to go to heaven or hell if you don't want to. You can be entirely free to go anywhere. And you can be immortal and yet have your body, your family, your friends. We are extending to you the precious gift of freedom and immortality factually, honestly. You are a spirit. You are your own soul. You are not mortal. You can be free. The arms of God are open to you. Scientology is the subject of knowing how to know. The mysteries of existence lie in Scientology before man's eyes. The ministers trained in Scientology know how to know, and they know, too, how to set you free from pain, from grief, from suffering, from the endless despair of this vale of tears. We will not mislead you. We have, as a part of the code of a Scientologist, point 3, to refuse to accept for processing and to refuse to accept donations from any person or group I feel I cannot honestly help. By processing, this is another word for Scientology spiritual counseling. Scientology can free the human soul and deliver the body from pain. Man can save his soul. We know how. If man does not want to be saved, that is a decision man must make, each one for himself. You have been invited. You will be accepted. If you do not care to be accepted, that too is your freedom. Heaven awaits. At least we have shut for some the yawning jaws of hell. L. Ron Hubbard has left a bridge that we can take safely across the chasm of that freedom. All we have to do is follow that bridge to see exactly what the bridge consists of and what your next step is. Read, What is Scientology? In it, you will find answers to all your questions and the exact path you should take up the bridge. Accept this invitation, then take your next step, or your first. And now we'll be ending Sunday service with the reading of the Scientology Prayer for Total Freedom. May the author of the universe enable all men to reach an understanding of their spiritual nature. May awareness and understanding of life expand so that all may come to know the author of the universe. And may others also reach this understanding which brings total freedom. At this time, we think of those whose liberty is threatened, of those who have suffered imprisonment for their beliefs, of those who are enslaved or martyred, and for all those who are brutalized, trapped, or attacked. We pray that human rights will be preserved so that all people may believe and worship freely, so that freedom will once again be seen in our land. Freedom from war and poverty and want. Freedom to be, freedom to do, and freedom to have. Freedom to use and understand man's potential, a potential that is God-given and God-like. And freedom to achieve that understanding and awareness that is total freedom. May God let it be so. Thank you for coming and joining us for this Sunday service. I look forward to seeing you next week.